Faithful versus unfaithful servant. Luke 12:41-48. Today, we'll explore a powerful teaching of Jesus found in Luke 12:41-48, the parable of the faithful and unfaithful servants. As we journey verse by verse, we'll discover what each line means, what we can learn, and how it challenges us in our daily walk with Christ. Verse by verse breakdown. Luke 12:41, Peter asked, "Lord, are you telling this parable to us or to everyone?" Meaning, Peter seeks clarity. Is this teaching just for the disciples or for everyone listening? What we can learn. Even those closest to Jesus sometimes needed clarification. It's okay to ask questions. Reflection. Am I truly listening when Jesus speaks, or do I assume his words are for someone else? Luke 12:42. The Lord answered, "Who then is the faithful and wise manager whom the master puts in charge of his servants to give them their food allowance at the proper time?" Meaning, Jesus introduces a metaphor. The manager is someone entrusted with responsibility. What we can learn. God entrusts us with duties. Faithfulness and wisdom are essential in leadership and service. Reflection. Am I being faithful with what God has placed in my care, my family, job, and ministry? Luke 12:43. It will be good for that servant whom the master finds doing so when he returns. Meaning, blessing comes to the one who is faithful at all times, even when not being watched. What we can learn. God values consistency. Being faithful even when no one sees is true service. Reflection. If Jesus returned today, would he find me faithful? Luke 12:44. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. Meaning, greater responsibility and reward await the faithful servant. What we can learn. God promotes those who prove faithful in small things. Reflection. Am I preparing for greater things by being trustworthy with the little I have now? Luke 12:45. But suppose the servant says to himself, "My master is taking a long time in coming," and he then begins to beat the other servants, both men and women, and to eat and drink and get drunk. Meaning an unfaithful servant abuses his role, thinking there's no accountability. What we can learn. Delayed judgment is not absence of judgment. God sees how we live, always. Reflection. Do I misuse my time, my words, or my authority, thinking there's no consequence? Luke 12:46. The master of that servant will come on a day he does not expect, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the unbelievers. Meaning, there is a severe consequence for hypocrisy and abuse of responsibility. What we can learn. We are called to live every day ready for the Lord's return. Reflection. Is my life in a state of readiness, or would I be ashamed if Christ returned today? Luke 12:47. The servant who knows the master's will and does not get ready or does not do what the master wants will be beaten with many blows. Meaning, knowing God's will and ignoring it leads to greater judgment. What we can learn. With greater knowledge comes greater responsibility. Reflection. Am I ignoring what God has clearly shown me to do? Luke 12:48. But the one who does not know and does things deserving punishment will be beaten with few blows. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded, and from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. Meaning, God is just. He considers what we know and what we've been given. What we can learn. Accountability is proportionate to knowledge and blessing. Reflection. How am I stewarding the gifts, resources, and knowledge God has given me? This passage is not merely a warning, it's a call to action, a call to live faithfully even when no one sees, a reminder that God sees everything and will return, whether we're ready or not. The faithful servant is not flashy, they simply do what needs to be done, daily obedience, quiet humility, and unwavering commitment. The unfaithful servant, however, loses sight of accountability and abuses grace. Friend, we each have a responsibility. God has entrusted us with time, talents, relationships, and truth. The question is, are we living as faithful or unfaithful servants? Let us be found faithful, loving, serving, and live every day as though Jesus is returning today, because he might.